escape, and Yoda makes it out alive on the back of Chewbacca the Wookiee. Meanwhile, Darth Vader marches into the Jedi Hall and slaughters all the younglings. Senator Organa witnesses the chaos and contacts Yoda and Obi-Wan. They board his ship and compare notes. Darth Vader, along with R2, goes to Mustafar and kills the rest of the Separatists' entry-level bad guys, and all the droid armies are disengaged. Darth Sidious addresses a special session of Congress and announces that he is now known as Emperor, and the Senate is now known as the First Galactic Empire. He then passionately vows to hunt down the rest of the Jedi and claims they try to take over. As Vader tells Padme that he will rule the universe, she wigs out and he almost strangles her to death. Obi-Wan comes on the scene and they lightsaberly kick it old school. At the same time, Yoda fights the Emperor a la lightsabers. Even though Vader is more skilled, Obi-Wan is wiser, and Vader makes a calculation error in fighting, and Obi-Wan cuts him up something fierce by the Lake of Fire. And Vader is burned beyond recognition. Obi-Wan laments his turning to the dark side and swipes his lightsaber. Yoda cannot defeat the Emperor but escapes to Organa's ship as Obi-Wan arrives along with Padme and C-3PO, R2 already on scene. The Emperor finds Vader a mangled mess, has him put into a full-body iron lung in order to keep him alive, and when he comes to, tells him he killed Padme. Since there is no other Jedi left to woo to the dark side, he keeps Vader, even though his lightsaber skills are uberly diminished. On Organa's secret base on Alderaan, it is discovered that Padme is having twins. As Obi-Wan, C-3PO, R2, Yoda, and Organa watch, Padme gives birth to Luke and Leia. Padme dies just as Vader foresaw. Yoda goes into exile on Dagobah. Leia is adopted by Senator Organa and stays on Alderaan. Luke is taken to his aunt and uncle on Tatooine under the watchful eye of Obi-Wan from afar. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan is trained by Qui-Gon in the arts of immortality. About 15 years or so later, Leia, now princess from Alderaan, is part of a rebel alliance trying to take down the Galactic Empire. Some spies get a hold of the schematics of the Death Star. Leia, on her way to deliver them to Alderaan, is captured by Vader. He has no idea she is his daughter. She has no idea he is her dad. She puts them in a safe place, R2-D2, and has them delivered to Tatooine to find Obi-Wan. C-3PO goes along having no idea what is going on, since his memory was wiped. While on Tatooine, C-3PO and R2-D2 are captured by Jawas and sold to a whiny Luke Skywalker, son of Anakin. R2 escapes and finds Ben Kenobi, and Ben acts as if he's never seen him before. R2 brings him back to Luke. Obi-Wan gives Luke his dad's old lightsaber from the Mustafar fight. Obi-Wan sees a message from Leia from inside R2-D2 and asks Luke to come to Alderaan to become a Jedi Knight. Meanwhile, aboard the Death Star, news hits that the Emperor has dissolved the Senate completely, using the Death Star as leverage against any rebellion. The bad guys plan to use the Death Star to destroy the rebel base once they can find the rebel base. Back on Tatooine, Luke and Obi-Wan happen upon Chewbacca and a partner of his named Han Solo. They agree to take R2 and the rest of the gang to Alderaan. General Moff Tarkin, business partner Vader, questions Leia about where the rebel base is. She lies to him and he blows up Alderaan, killing her adoptive parents. While on the Millennium Falcon, Obi-Wan starts giving Luke a crash course in the Jedi arts. As Obi-Wan and all come upon Alderaan, they find it blown up. Then they get sucked into the Death Star. They sneak around dressed as stormtroopers, clones, after they turn bad. Leia is rescued, and Obi-Wan fights Vader one last time, only slower and less intense. Obi-Wan, using the skills Qui-Gon taught him on Tatooine, decides to join him in Electric Jedi Land, as he can more effectively help Luke. Chewbacca, Han, Luke, Leia, and R2-D2 and C-3PO escape and deliver the schematics to the rebel higher-ups. The Death Star knows where they're going, so the rebels fly up toward it, take it out, before it takes them out. Rebel after rebel are killed trying to destroy it. Luke is one of the few left to take it down. As he attempts to fire on it, Vader starts to chase him. He senses that the Force is strong in him, and because of his superb Jedi reflexes he inherited from the guy following him, as well as Obi-Wan talking in his ear, shoots a perfect shot. Vader is thrown reeling into space, and the Death Star blows up into smithereens. Vader wants to know who that kid was. About 3 years later, the rebels are evicted and moved to an ice planet called Hoth. Vader sends probes everywhere to find Luke. Luke sees a vision of Obi-Wan, and he tells him to go to Dagobah to see Yoda for more training. And a side note, Leia, in order to prove to Han that she isn't interested in him, kisses Luke, unbeknownst to her, her twin. Yuck. Vader discovers the rebels and invades. They all escape. Luke and R2 go to Dagobah, where R2 assists in Luke's training, and Han, Chewbacca, and the rest of them try to escape by going into a minefield. Han and Leia discover that they have the hots for each other. Vader has a powwow with the Emperor and discovers that Luke is his son, and agrees to turn him to the dark side too. He also agrees to deliver Luke to the Emperor. Vader hires bounty hunters, including Boba Fett, son of Jango, to find the Millennium Falcon. During Luke's training, R2 and Yoda act like complete strangers in order to increase the validity of the training. Meanwhile, Chewbacca and the gang escape to Cloud City, owned by Lando Calrissian, who used to own the Millennium Falcon. Unfortunately, Vader gets there first. Lando is forced to give them up, and Han and Leia are used as bait to get Luke to come. Luke senses this, puts in his notice, and goes to rescue them. Yoda and Obi-Wan don't like it, but discuss the fact that if Luke doesn't work out, Leia could be trained too. Leia declares her love for Han as he is encased in carbonite, and wheeled off to a gangster named Jabba, whom Han owed money to. Vader wanted to use the carbonite on Luke too, so he could deliver him to the Emperor. Lando, Chewbacca, and Leia escape Cloud City, but come back and pick up Luke from being whooped by his old man. He found out the hard way that Vader is his dad. Lando and Chewbacca head towards Tatooine to rescue Han. Luke and Leia decide to meet them there, along with R2 and C-3PO. The Empire starts building a new Death Star, worse than the last. As Luke and the boys try to rescue Han, Lando, Luke, Han, and Chewbacca are captured, and Leia has to wear a skimpy slave uniform. R2 and C-3PO are put to work. All of these events happen on Jabba's garbage scow, where the boys are forced to walk the plank into a big mouth on the desert floor. R2 throws a lightsaber at Luke and cleans house. Han helps a little, still blind from the carbonite shock. Boba Fett falls into the mouth, and Jabba is strangled by Leia. They all escape. Luke goes to Dagobah, and the rest go to space station to discuss plans to destroy the Death Star again. Meanwhile, the Emperor brings his posse to the Death Star to wait on Luke. On Dagobah, Yoda dances around the fact that Vader is Luke's dad, telling him he has a twin, and Yoda joins Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan in Electric Jedi Land. Obi-Wan tells him that about Leia too. Deep down, Luke is grossed out. Luke is told to destroy Vader, but can't bring himself to do it. On the space station, the plan is for Lando to lead an attack team to take down the Death Star once Han and his team, Leia and Chewbacca, the droids, and Luke take down the shields housed on a planet called Endor. They botch the plan. Leia is captured by some silly furry creatures called Ewoks. Later, Han and the boys are madcapily captured too. Luke, Han, and Leia reunite under the watchful eyes of the Ewoks. C-3PO convinces the Ewoks not to eat them because they think he is a god. They get past the awkwardness and join the crew to help take down the Empire with sticks and rocks. Luke pulls Leia aside and tells her he is her brother, and Vader is her dad. The awkwardly creeped out feeling soon passes, and Luke goes to face Vader. Vader notes that Luke has constructed a lightsaber, which signals the fact that his training is over. Vader brings Luke to the Emperor, he messes with his mind, and Luke and Vader fight. Lando discovers the whole thing is a trap planned from the beginning by the Emperor, and they are surrounded. Meanwhile, on Endor, Han and the crew are captured, but the Ewoks save the day. The shields go down. Vader discovers that Luke has a twin, Luke gets mad, and almost kills him. The Emperor loves it, thinking he'll get another apprentice finally, until Luke refuses to join the dark side. The Emperor tries to kill him, but Vader turns back to good side and kills the Emperor. Luke feels comfortable to take Vader's, now Anakin's, mask off, and they see each other face to face for the first time, and the last time, as Anakin Skywalker dies in his son's arms. Meanwhile, on Endor, the shields go down, and the Death Star is destroyed once and for all. From Coruscant to Tatooine, there is dancing in the street at the revelation of the demise of the Emperor. Balance is restored to the Force.